but she really has carved out a publishing niche for herself with her imprint, MF Books. If there's an edgy, transformative, usually quite unbelievably life-changing story around, Linda is the person who will turn it into a great book, just like she's done with Jump. So congratulations to you, Leonard, on the publication of Jump, which is, of course, his epic travel and soul adventure. It's quite a ride, which I think you're going to discover as soon as you start reading it. Leonard wastes no time in plunging straight into the realities of his life. But I'm going to read what Sean Fraser said. It is on the front cover, but I think it's worth reading. He said, "What a ride. I didn't see it coming. I thought it was just another run-of-the-mill journey to the soul thing. Elizabeth Gilbert meets Tamboerskloof. Done to death. But wow, this is phenomenal." That's how he spells it. And for those of you who don't know, Sean Fraser is a South African editor. He's one of the best there is. He's highly experienced, and I can assure you he's read a lot of books in his life. So he knows what he's talking about. And here comes Leonard's tea. Thank you, Anna. Welcome. It's lovely to have you here, Leonard. Thank you very much. Chatting to Leonard tonight is Lynn Joffe. Lynn is the CEO of Creatrix, which is a branding agency, but I think it's a whole lot more than that, but we're not going to go there tonight. She is also a budding author. We are expecting to see her first book coming from a Judgy Books sometime next year. So lovely to have you here in the hot seat, Lynn, and I'm going to hand over to the two of you.
And you have bared your soul in words. It is a memoir, right? It's not a made-up story. Is there anything in the book that actually sort of is exaggerated slightly from your real life?
I could have made it up if I wanted to. I think the fiction could not have been as crazy as the story has been, you know. So it was necessary to make up anything, you know. So, you know, sometimes in a memoir they say you can take some creative license and make maybe two characters one and so on. Frankly, there's none of that. This is really exactly as it happened.
Yeah, and I think it does, if you read it, it comes from the heart. It has a resonance of truth in it, even though some of the situations are so completely outrageous.
Although we partied hard, Jade brought a little stability to my life, but nothing else changed. The voice continued, getting louder and louder, the deep pit of loneliness growing ever bigger. It actually felt as though my life had gotten even worse. One day, I was walking on Clifton Beach, looking at the world around me. After just 5 minutes, I was bored out of my mind. I realized that what I was seeing must be beautiful. White powdery sand, crystal clear turquoise waters, blue skies with flecks of cloud, and Table Mountain towering high above. But I could not see the beauty. I could not see the beauty in it. It did not move me at all. I felt a huge, heavy emptiness within. At the pit of my stomach, there was this dead weight, and in my chest, a tight contraction. I had hit rock bottom. I was a mess, and I knew I was in big trouble.
Stop. And now you'll find out why he felt that, and what he did. And then the next sentence of the next chapter, which you're not reading, is, "And so I surrendered." One could call it, in a sense, a metaphor or the guide. There's always a guide on the journey, but in a sense, the guide came from within. And the journey took place through almost the instructions of the voice. But then the writing, the voice finally, again, spoiler alert, the voice tells him to write his story. So as a metaphor, the choice of the voice, can you speak a little bit about that as part of the inspiration, in a sense, that motivated you to go on the journey and then to write about it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this was quite disconcerting, you know, having this voice or this feeling, you know, talking to me. And so I tried my best to drown it out. You know, a lot of drugs, a lot of sex, a lot of women. You know, it was a crazy 4 or 5 years drowning that out, or trying to drown it out. And eventually, as that part that I just read there, I just realized I wasn't going to drown this out. So I surrendered to it, and then just followed the voice. And the voice said to me, clear out all the holds, you know, to make space for the new in your life. And that's basically, you know, getting a backpack, selling everything, and then going and hitting the road overseas. And then funny enough, and exactly, it's amazing that that same voice eventually told me to write a book. I mean, I didn't go overseas to write a book. I don't know where the fuck I was going. I was just, clear out that hole to make place for the new. That was really my journey. And as this developed, and as the journey went on, my buddies and the ex-girl I was going out with then was saying, just put something on Facebook so that
we know you're alive.
You know you're alive. I wasn't even on Facebook prior to that. I mean, I had more fun in Clifton Beach than being on social media. It wasn't really my space.
No.
and then really, I just started sharing the journey, in South America. And when the big learnings and stuff started happening, then I started sharing that. And I just found I really fucking enjoyed talking about it and writing about it. And I found so many resonance. People found so much resonance in it. So eventually the voice just said, share this. I mean, I don't even know I was putting stuff out. I mean, I wasn't a Facebook. I was never any of that. But I just had a strong voice. I went to these crazy, beautiful learnings and workshops. And there was just the same voice, calling, feeling, to put out in the world what I was experiencing. In a way, I thought people were going to think I'm crazy with putting this out, but there was so much resonance, and out of that then followed, the whole thing about writing a book.
In terms of the journey, you're finding what you called the feminine as a male. It's a very interesting theme.
Sure.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. There's so many layers and so many different messages and layers of messages in that book, but this one is really, they're all close to my heart, but specifically this one then is, I was living the life, interacting with a lot of beautiful women. I mean, no regrets, it's amazing. Beautiful memories.
What a shame it's all over.
And it's just fascinating that on this journey, I just thought I went into a celibacy space. And it wasn't my mind saying that, it was my soul, just this voice saying, not connecting with the outer feminine. And that led me then to a lot of workshops I did, on the sexual shamanistic front. And it's amazing, so many integration happening, so integrated stuff. I found that what we often, and that's a story not just about me, but about almost all of us. We're looking for that outer feminine or masculine to complete us. And I just realized that I had to go inside and complete myself before I can interact with the outer feminine anymore. So I actually really integrated my own feminine and masculine. And for the guys here, that's a surprise. Yeah, there is a chick inside here.
Your relationships with men? Did it change that too?
The fascinating thing is what I found is that the deeper I dropped into my feminine, the stronger my masculine became. I became even more like that when I was calling in the masculine energy in terms of penetrative kind of energy. And there's a very, very good, actually I think in Australia and New Zealand, some of the trainings there come up, is that amazing. It even changed my relationship with men. I can be more closer, heart connection with men. You know what I mean? It's amazing. I think there's so much fear in society, men between each other, like intimacy, straight men between each other, intimacy. There's this crazy, society that how much is sitting there. So that also allowed me, I'm really comfortable with guys in close intimate heart space.
Which is very brave, and I asked you earlier if you thought of fictionalizing it maybe to protect the innocent, and you said no, this was your story. So it's quite a courageous thing, especially that people who know you are going to read this, and you want to affect them, you want to affect that change, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's just more powerful being authentic and open about it. I mean, I was sharing it open on Facebook in any event, and I come from that world, so a lot of my buddies, and people in that world reading it, this is someone coming from that world that now talking about this. I think it's bridging the worlds in some way, I think there's a lot of power in that.
And that is what I think the power of this book is a male person speaking out the secrets that we never share, the feeling of maybe inferiority, of poverty even, of paucity of spirit. So it is a spiritual book, yeah?
Oh no, for sure. I mean, I think it goes, as you said, we were in a chat like yesterday, it starts like a porn book and it becomes a very deep spiritual book, and I think it is. There's so many layers in this book, and I really believe it's a book that one can read, a few times, and then there'll be different layers coming through. And it's not just my book. I'm just an expression of the consciousness expressing through me. And I've just been expressed through me. I'm just a vehicle for getting that out. So yeah, no, I think it's definitely goes into very deep, vulnerable places. I mean, you know, I was asked the other day how deep did I go, and I mean, I can't go deeper. I mean, it's as vulnerable as you can get.
Do you think that men in particular might be threatened or provoked by this story? Men in particular, South African men in particular.
You know, I think the world is ready for this message. You know, not I'm really giving a message. I'm just sharing, you know, my story, and you know, and people can use out of that. That makes sense. But I definitely, and I think people will be triggered. You know, not just men, women also. I mean, I think we still live in a conservative society. But for the people that you know that's ready for it, I think there will be
I think any book that doesn't provoke you, poke. I told you, poke, provoke, confront, and elevate.
Yeah.
That's what my yoga guru always says. And if something doesn't actually transform you in that, will then read the newspaper. You know, there is a difference between writing from your soul point of view and just giving lessons to people. It's not a lesson book, right?
No. So that's I think that's the beauty of it. I'm just sharing my experience. And I've got no attachment whether anyone actually learned anything from it. I really have not. And I also have got no attachment, you know, while it does. For the first time in my life, I've got no attachment in terms of achieving.
But we do want some book sales, okay? Just saying. You're attached to the cash register there. You can buy it later.
Yes, no, definitely. You know, and I believe it will resonate with a lot of people.
Do you think it will resonate in a universal way? I mean, you're publishing here first. Do you have aspirations to sort of resonate it or amplify it outside of South Africa?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I probably know more people outside South Africa now than here. A 5 years journey around the world, you know, and some of the deep spaces and vulnerability that you go with. You know, you spend 7 days with 40 people, you know, from 7 in the morning until 10 at night, you know, and it's deep, vulnerable work, you know, you really are becoming...
Censoring that.
Become deep brothers and sisters. So there's a big community. I lived in a few communities you know, around the world, in Sri Lanka and the Czech Republic and Israel, and I've got like a whole family in Israel of a consciousness community. You know, there's so many people. So definitely on the international space, you know, like we'll go on Amazon in the next few days. I really wanted to give the printed South African book.
Do you see that as significant that is where you ended the book with the death of your father? Was that a closure for you?
Yeah, I wouldn't say toxic masculinity at all. He was actually a beautiful example of mature masculine, my dad. You know, for a guy from the silent generation, you know, maybe not talking so much about his emotions, but no, I think what it definitely was, then it was definitely the way I handled that death. You know, was so much different than I would have handled it, you know, 5 years ago, 5 years prior to that. So it was actually really interesting that it was in that space, you know, because I wasn't sad. I mean, I would have been sad, I think, prior to that, and I don't really get sad anymore when people die. It's amazing, you know, because we just change from one form to another. And you know, there's a beautiful piece there where he asked me on his deathbed, you know, what I found, you know, on my travels around the world. Where do we go when we die? You know, and you know, I'll leave that. You know, I won't expand on that. And I just could give him a bit. I know he was scared. You know, a guy from the silent generation asking this emotional question. You know, and I just, you know, we had such a beautiful connection, and you know. And it was, I think, a gift that I could have given him on his deathbed.
Books. You met Melinda. You were already finished a draft and a second draft. Tell us about the journey with MF Books and Melinda.
Yeah, it's been it's great. I mean, once again, no coincidences, no surprises. You know, it's synchronicity. So there's always meant to be for Melinda and myself to cross paths. I mean, you know, she's a crazy chick. You know, as crazy as I am. You know, and it's just really, it's been amazing combination of, you know, the two of us, you know, and she and her team doing this. I've just been very privileged and grateful she came across my road, you know, very grateful to be introduced to her. You know, it's by a friend of mine that I used to work with in the PR days, and so that was amazing. You know, so it kind of came easy. And I met her. I then went, you know, to one of her writers' workshops. But I was already finished the first and second draft by then. But I thought, you know, the best way to make contact is to go to the weekend workshop. And then after that, I sent her the book, and she was halfway through the book, and she called me and said, you know, she would like to publish it. Which was, you know, I was really, really grateful. I think the books that she published are There's really some tremendous stuff that she's given out.
So you never wrote it with a view to publishing it? Or did you, when you went towards the end of the book and the voice said, sit down and write it, had you written as you'd gone along? I know you did the blog, but had you sort of considered the musing, if you like, of as you went along? Were these realizations, did these realizations happen to you as you went along? Or is it when you wrote the book that you had the realizations in arrears, so to speak? How did your consciousness rise?
Oh, that's such an interesting story. I mean, I was just enjoying, to start I was enjoying with the blogs, putting that out, and then eventually I realized this is going to be a book. And then I actually started writing this book, but then I really think it came from the wrong energy. It still came from the ego place. I was going to try to teach the world something, it's the wrong fucking energy to do anything from. So after like a few weeks of that, I went like, okay, no, and then I just dropped it, and then only like 6 months later, I was still writing, still putting my blogs and stuff out. 6 months later, it was a different energy that came, and it was actually the energy of enjoying the writing. That's just a beautiful lesson for me. It's like follow the energy, follow what you like, and that was different. But I started writing from that place, from that energy of like, I'm really not just enjoying this. I'm expressing, whatever is coming through the universal consciousness through me. And I'm just a conduit in this process. That changed everything, then it flowed. The words flowed, the thing flowed. And from there, the thing really rolled.
So the book, in a sense, was the transformation.
Yeah, it's amazing. When I wrote that book again, there's quite a process writing and publishing a book, like 2, 3, 4 drafts. Then it went on a publishing editing basis. When that book was 122,000 words, it's now 93,000, so it went through 3 edits, and I went through all of that, so it's quite a process. It was a hell of a lot easier selling insurance than writing a book.
That's for sure.
So it was a process of getting that out, and I just loved the process, and it was good.
We're going to get some time for questions, Kate, because we've got 12 minutes left on the clock. And the last one I want to ask you is the voice still talking to you? And if it is, what is it saying? And if it's not, where are you going?
Oh yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, people ask me what now and where you're going to, and it almost ties into this question. I mean, I really don't know. And the voice is just saying the same thing to me, So in a way, I'm kind of practicing what I'm preaching, I suppose, in a way. I'm just following the energy. So the voice is saying to me, the same voice that said, write this book, is saying, okay, well, just get the book out, promote it, and talk about it. And now I'm finding, I really enjoyed writing the book. Now I'm finding I really enjoyed talking about the book. And where this is going, I've got no idea. I'm just on the right, and I'm just following the energy. It was such a big part of this journey, and I actually write in the middle of the book where I was sitting with my 2 kids in Barcelona in the mountains, and my daughter just asked me this very open, direct kind of question about the sexuality space, and I wrote a little bit about that. And it was just confirmation for me of the journey, that the journey that I was doing, the deep inner journey that I was getting into my own heart, as I said, the 18-inch journey from your mind to your heart, that's the longest journey you can take. That just allowed me to drop even deeper with my kids. I mean, I always, I also had a great relationship with them, but now it's amazing. It's so open, I can talk about sexuality stuff with them, the teenagers. It's amazing. I don't know whether they've read the book yet. My boy said he's a little bit scared to. Yes, I'm definitely open to it. And I've had so many people talking to me about it. So once again, the energy of the universe is actually bringing that. So it would be. I think I'm going to follow that. Up until now, with the launch and the editing, it was so busy. I almost got out something accounting like middle of the year. But yeah, I think definitely. And I think there's a call. There's a call even on the sexuality space. We're linking the spirituality and the sexuality, and there's so much in the spiritual space from the heart chakra up. Everything in the heart and all of that up, and this is beautiful. But connecting it with your power center, your ear and your sacral and your root chakra, so it's really much in alignment. We can't really, we can't really be having this, without being fully integrated in this planet Earth in the physical space. We spirits and we as animals too. So I think that's what really I enjoyed, you know, is that integrating the film. But I think we are moving in our evolutionary cycle. We're moving into another space. We're moving into authentic power. You know, up until now, we had like lions and tigers eating us up. You know, so we were the survival and competition was what it was about. And now we're moving in. You know, there's a beautiful book, Seed of the Soul. Gary Zukav talks about authentic power and authenticity, and aligning your personality with your soul. And you know, and I think that's that's happening. That's happening around the world. And you know, I think that's happening to people even whether they wanted to or not. I think that's the really confusing part of that, is that people starting feeling the shift happening in them, and they're not sure what it is. And I think that's the essence of it. It's like, you know, you have to be aligned to your soul. You know, you have to be aligned. You know, and if you're not authentic to yourself, you can't be authentic to other people. And I think what happened with me is that up until then, my soul, my personality was on one path. And then 10 years ago, you know, I had to awake to other things in my life, and that started happening. And then my soul went that route, and that created this emptiness, you know, in the process, you know, because there was a disconnect between the soul and the personality. And I tried to just drown it out, you know. And by the way, it's not just, you know, drugs to drown it out. You know, you can work yourself to death. You can mountain bike the whole weekend and not spend time with anyone around you. You can do, you know, do yoga. You can do, you know, you can be a workaholic. You know, there's a lot of drugs of choice to drown this out. And I really do believe a lot of people are drowning out the shift that is happening inside them. And that's what I believe, that, you know, I think reading the book and going through the pages and going through the storyline of the 260 pages, out of that, I think there could be some stuff. And then once again, you know, use or lose, you know, you use whatever resonates. But yeah, no, definitely, I think I can see it. I can see it with people around me. I can see it with my friends. I can see it with ex-colleagues and associates. Yeah.
Thanks. Leonard Lowe by his book. Thank you so much for the insight. It's finished this time. I'm going to hand you over to Kate.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Leonard and Lynn. Very interesting
Thanks, guys.
listening to the two of you.